Infinite Dendrogram Episode 2, we learned some very, very big story beats. First, let's start with the small stuff. Basically, when Ray and his brother and Nemesis are basically eating at the banquet, um a notification for urine and hunger pops up on Ray's hood. So basically that tells us, as his brother explained, even though you're spending time in the game, you may be eating, your body still needs. So the safety mechanism so you don't wither away because you can't feel yourself getting hungry. The game, whenever it sort of like senses or has some sort of sensor, it'll tell you, dude, you need to stop and you need to take care of your body and then go back to playing. So he does so. The next big story implication comes once he gets back, and it's revealed that the Altor Kingdom was attacked by the Daruf Kingdom. The Daruf Kingdom is more like mechanized and weaponized, and the Altor Kingdom is more like of a medieval knight society and medieval times, like magic and fantasy type setting. And basically the Altor Kingdom got crushed. So that begs the question, what was so different about them? And the answer his brother gave was very intriguing. They had the exact same army sort of equivalency, technology, yada yada yada. The one thing that made a big difference, which this makes sense since it's a game from the player's perspective, is the masters, is the players themselves. But here's the interesting part. Altair's kingdom players did not participate because the king would not give them any rewards, where the Daruf mechanized kingdom set out clear standards. In the light novel, which I've read, it even goes so far as to like you get, I think it's like you get 10, like maybe 5,000 liers for supposedly every man you kill, and then 50,000 liers if you kill another player. So, like, if you're strapped for cash, that is like you'll have an army coming in, and there's probably some players with some awesome powers, with some awesome embryos, and they'll just slaughter a bunch of them because you gotta imagine, even though we know these NPCs are realistic and once they die, they're gone forever, some players are not going to care. Some players are just going to be like, well, they're NPCs, I'm a player, I'm real, they're not, it's just a game. Other players, like our guy Ray here, are going to be like, wait a minute. If you kill them, they just won't respawn like in video games. And it's been proven that they have family connections to one another. And it's been proven that a player's actions can either save them or put them in harm's way. So, in other words, inside this world, they are real. And they do have hopes and dreams. And even in the anime, they, during the banquet, um as the brother and him are talking, he also the brother also let everyone else in the banquet be a part of the party, and they were all raising their cups and just singing along, and he mentions how that it was very hard to tell the difference between a player or not, and the only way he could tell was by looking at sort of like a little pendant that like each master had. But if you weren't paying close attention, you seriously wouldn't know who was a player and who was not. And that's scary to think about, when you can literally, if you're not careful, you can form meaningful relationships with these NPCs, know their hopes and dreams, and they're similar to yours maybe. And then you have other people over here that just want to slaughter to gain points and play this game. It's really two different mindsets, because this is what happens when you have AI that's so realistic and it can think like a human and behave like a human and then interact with you and give you advice based on what it sees is necessary, and also encourage you and support you and expect you to do the same from it, you know. But back to my whole point about that is that basically um is basically lots of players just didn't want to play because they're like, hey, the king said we have to you have to do this to protect the country. The players said, no, you're not giving us any rewards. And the brother plays it off like some old fashioned idea, but if you really think about it from his perspective, these players are not just players. To these NPCs, these players are a part of the world, a part of their kingdom, and as citizens, they would think that these players would want to protect their country. In fact, here's where I think another piece of the puzzle that's missing from the anime that is talked about in great deal in the light novel is the fact that it is the fact that um I'm trying to think. Give me a minute. It is the fact that, the whole log in and log out system, that's in the laws of in this of this world. The NPCs don't think nothing of it. They they view the masters dying as being sent back to their home world, and then they can't enter because of magical drain for up to 3 days in their world. But they just consider that as a natural part of the world. And they even go so far as, if a NPC hears a master talking about this world as a game, their their law states, their own tradition states that that master has gone insane, a little bit insane, because they've been teleported back to their own world so many times. So to them, the whole thing of a master logging out and then reappearing in the back in the sat in the exact same point is just a natural part of the world. So to them, this isn't a game and all. And so that leads into another point, is that his brother want to um didn't want to fight because his brother, as it was mentioned in the light novel and sort of glossed over here, basically when he was creating his character, you know how Ray basically made himself, but he changed his hairstyle and hair color. Well, basically his brother was going through the creation menu and he forgot to change anything. And so that's why he's in the bear suit, he because think about it. If you literally have your own self out there and you're parading about that, people can look you up online. They can find out where you live. So at the time, he didn't have enough cover, and he thought that if he was to ever, his armor was ever break, it would show his face. You know, um that was his line of thinking. Now, this also goes back into another thing of, I don't really think they did a good job of it in the anime last episode, but as mentioned in the light novel, and as mentioned by Ray in here, is that when um Ray and his brother first showed up, um Alana was like, why are you here? Not talking about Ray, but his brother. And the fact is because, of course, the brother would not join in the war, and the war resulted in the death of Alana's father. Now, this goes back to the whole thing. These people have families and dreams and hopes and all. And so it turns out that only ranked players can go into um into these wars. And so um Ray's got a new goal to become a ranked player because he um because he wants to participate in the next war. And I can already see him going against the mentality that, yeah, this is a game, but these NPCs are real inside this world. They have hopes, they have dreams, Like you said in the last episode, it leaves a bad taste in his mouth to know that if these NPCs die, they're gone for good. They don't just respawn like in any other game. They're dead. And they're never coming back. Real permanent death. And so then him and Nexus go out fighting, and it turns out they skip time and they go up to free levels, and then they come across these two people, Arthur and Babby, and it's and then um Ray basically heals them as they're fighting to help assist, not really butt in, but just help them. And it turns out Babby is another humanoid embryo, and not only that, she is a succubus, the mythical creatures that are supposed to sort of seduce men and stuff, um, and all, and it's like and Arthur and Babby really have um some funny chemistry together. Um, the one thing that I was shocked that they didn't go over, of course they made a little bit of a fan service with Babby because she is a succubus. But the thing to remember is that if I'm thinking right, then basically Ray and Arthur are like, I would like to say 15 or 16, like not legal age yet. And the anime makes a big deal about this when the light novel makes a big deal about this when when Nemesis asks Babby, so what sort of tricks do you do to sexually? So this is basically what she's saying. What tricks do you use when you want to sexually seduce your master? And she's like, oh, well, I give him massages here, tickles a little there. And Ray makes a point from what he heard from other players is that if you're underage and you run into a succubus, then they will not use their womanly charms on you. They'll still attack you, but they won't do it in a sexual way because it's got it's got basically like a safety lock on it for those who are underage. It's like someone can go into a cave full of succubuses, and if they're underage, they'll probably get wiped out because they're low level, but they won't see anything X-rated. If they're 18 or older and they go in there, they might get wiped out there, but they will definitely see X-rated stuff. So, and also with the banquet, another thing is that according to the light novel, um, they could people who are underage obviously aren't allowed to drink alcoholic substances even in the game, and this is real funny um because um there's a experienced player at that banquet that basically um takes water and basically puts his poison in the water, and not it's not really alcoholic juice, but it gives the illusion of alcoholic juice, and it even gives um Ray a hangover. And like when it's describing a hangover, it's not like the status effect of a hangover. He really does feel like he's got a what would be the equivalent of a hangover. So just goes back to the realism there. So then we move on from those two, and they're still living up in the woods, and all of a sudden they get attacked by what? They get attacked by these weird monster fangs, these gremlins, if you will, and basically Nemesis blocks the first one, and so they're running, and as he's running, he's hearing all these different um screams from other players around, and so it's like, how is that happening? I've already killed the embryo, and it's like Nemesis is like, but that one's a swarm type, so basically, it's thousands upon thousands of copies. Each copy is pathetically weak, but when you have thousands upon hundreds of thousands of them, they quickly overwhelm the enemy. And so, of course, he dies, and he has to wait a whole day or a whole 3 days in the game time to come back. And when he comes back, Nemesis is like, I'm so sorry. Earlier, when he was getting his equipment and stuff, she's like, I'm the best weapon ever. Ha ha ha. And just to see the realization that, she let her master down. And he's like, no, I let you down. I wasn't strong enough to propel the attacks. And so they both basically make a pact to get stronger, and they end up heading to this labyrinth where they meet one of the top ranking players, and basically befriend him, and basically say, if we're ever in a duel city, let's just have a friendly match. Because in arenas, if you die, you don't have to wait a whole day to get back into the game. So that was basically the whole gist of the episode. It was great, and I honestly think I spoiled myself with the light novel, because it's like the little details like that it's like, because of time's sake it says those details, but it doesn't really go in to depth like the light novel does. But any of y'all who've actually read it like I have, tell me what you think. Anyway, this has been the Greenway Hunter, and I hope you have a blessed and awesome day. Please subscribe and remember to like the video. And if you need a prayer request, then put the request down in the comments. It just has to be something general, like help me at school, or help me at work, or help me with my own YouTube channel. Just pray for my own YouTube channel, or anything like that. And now let's say prayer. Dear Lord, I thank you for this day, and I thank you for everything you give me, God. I thank you for giving me the ability to make these YouTube videos and have fun. I pray that this channel will grow, Lord, and that you will continue to bless it, and may you bring lots of people hope with the prayer request, and may we all just have a good time and stay safe, Lord, and build a community. You pray, forgive me for all my sins. Amen. I will see y'all later.